Hello, 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 everyone. It is a pleasure to be here with you for this third masterclass of the Earth program of the Quantum Alchemist. Now, as I've been saying since the beginning, everything that has to do with Earth is all about structure. It's all about stability. It's all about being Earth. You're 2 feet on the Earth, right? Down to Earth, as they say, the expression. This is what you're learning in this first program. And it is so, so important, right? To understand that at the end of the day, where there's no structure, there's chaos. At the end of the day, where there is no order, there's, when there's no law, there's disorder. That's why they call law and order, right? It's very, very important. Now, today, I'm going to be talking about that, about law, about standards, about what are the laws, what are the rules really that you should create in your life, right? And why it's so important to create rules in order to have the structure that you want to have, but also, of course, in order to just become the quantum alchemist that you're destined to be. Because at the end of the day, if there's no structure on Earth, you cannot become a quantum alchemist. You cannot create the things that you want in your life. So in today's masterclass, I'm going to be sharing with you everything that you need to know about rules, laws, and really standards, how to create your own standards in life. Because a lot of people have a lot of trouble with that. I remember a few years ago, it was about 2015, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Around that time, I invited my amazing editor, Ariane, over for dinner at my house right before she left, because she left for Vancouver to live there. I invited her over to have dinner, and I remember she went to the bathroom at some point, and when she came back, she was like, "Oh my God, I love the fact that you have all of these, affirmations everywhere. In my old home, in the bathroom, the guest bathroom, there was this affirmation that said, I live in prosperity and abundance. I am rich, rich, rich." And then I had other affirmations on my fridge, and I had other affirmations on, the TV and on the walls everywhere, right? It was a very small apartment, so I would make sure to put them everywhere. And she said, I love that. She's like, it makes me think of me a few years ago, about a decade ago. I had that too in my old home. And I was like, really? And I was like, you had, why did you have? You don't have them anymore. Why? And she was like, well, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. She's like, back then, 10 years ago, when I created these little papers and affirmations everywhere around my home and I put them everywhere, it was because I was in a very bad situation when it came to my health. So she had went to the doctor, and the doctor said, look, if you don't fix this when it comes to your health, it's going to be bad. And in about 3 years, you could no longer be with us, if this continues to degenerate. So you need to do something about it. And so she took it very seriously, obviously, as anyone should. So she changed her diet. She started to working out. And then she also knew about the power that our subconscious mind has on us. So she did that. She put affirmations all around her house. And the moment that she was healed, she continued having the affirmations. But then, of course, with time, she forgot. She moved to another place, and then she forgot to do it. And I thought it was interesting. I remember that night. I thought it was interesting how, as humans, we do what we have to do, but we don't do what we should do, right? A lot of us, we know what we should do. We all know what we should do. We have a lot of shoulds. I should wake up earlier. I should eat healthy. I should work out. I should start my business. I should start writing my book. We have a lot of shoulds, but often we don't do the shoulds. We only do the musts. The I have to. I have no other choice. And the reality is that, as I think about that story, the reason why I had all those affirmations around my house is because I created them back in 2012, I remember, because it was the time where I got charged for possession of counterfeit money, and I was going to go maybe 17 years in prison, right? So because I knew that my mind had created that situation, I really believe that we create everything that happens in our reality. I wanted to change that. So I needed my mind to change. I needed my subconscious mind to create a new reality. So I had affirmations not only for money, but I remember on my fridge, I had a verse of the Bible which says, no weapon formed against me will prosper. And I had little sayings like that all around my house. And again, it was because it was not a life or death situation like with my friend editor Ariane, but it was a freedom or jail situation, right? And that's what we often do. So a lot of people, they have trouble setting standards and rules in their lives because of this. Because a rule and a standard very often is more of a should, right? When we set it for ourselves. There are rules in the world that are not shoulds, that are musts, right? It's a must. If you do certain things and it's a rule and it's in society and it's against the law, then you're going to be in trouble. It's like that when we go to school also, right? When we go to school, there are rules that we have to follow. There are certain standards that some teachers and principals will set for us. And if we come below that, we're going to be in trouble. But it's harder when it comes to us, right? When it comes to the standards that we set for our own selves in our own lives. Sometimes it's not as easy, right? To maintain them and to keep them. In today's class, I'm going to share with you what are the 4 categories of standards that you should create. So the same way that a country will, when a country is formed, of course, they set up the laws, right, in that country. Well, we're going to form you and we're going to set up your laws, the laws that you should maintain in your life, that you need to keep for yourself. We're going to be doing that, okay, which is very, very important. The reason why you want to do this, it's because the universe gives you not what you want, but what you know you deserve. That's number 1. So everything that you're doing in life, you are setting a standard for yourself, for your life, right? So whatever you choose, whatever you don't choose, whatever you say yes to, whatever you say no to, whatever experience you have, whatever you allow in your life, that is setting a standard to the universe. It's like the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is say, okay, that's what you deserve. I will continue giving you this. So if you say in your life, let's say in relationships, I deserve to have this incredible person, right? They're going to treat me right and they're going to love me and they're going to respect me and, they're going to always buy me these beautiful gifts. Let's say one of your standards of your rules for relationships is you want someone who brings you flowers, But then someone comes into your life and this person tells you from the very beginning, oh yeah, no, I never buy flowers. I don't like doing that because I don't see the point, flowers die. They tell you this at the beginning of the relationship. But you, because you want to be with someone so bad, you accept this. What happens? You are lowering your standard. And what you're telling the universe is you're saying, I'm okay with this. So what the universe will do is they will continue to give you more of that. There's, I believe, 3 problems when you don't respect the rules that you create in your life. The first one, like I just said, is that you're sending a signal to the universe, to God, whatever you want to call it. You're saying, I would like this, but whatever, I'm willing to settle for this. Like, I'll just accept this. Whatever, you give me this, I'll just take it. So the universe will continue giving you more of that, right? That's number 1. Number 2 is you are the same way that kind of like the universe is losing respect for you because it's starting to give you less than what you think you deserve. You're losing respect for yourself. So whenever you set a rule in your life and you say, from now on, every morning I will wake up at 5 a.m. From now on, this is what I will do every morning. And then the next morning comes and you wake up and it's 9 a.m. How do you feel? How does it feel? It doesn't feel good, right? I've been there in the past, right? It doesn't feel good. You say something and then you don't do it. You don't keep your word. You are losing the respect that you have for yourself. Slowly but surely. And then whenever you're going to say you're going to do other things, you're not even going to believe your own self. You're not even going to believe your own self. So it's very hard to have the earth element being grounded, foundation. You're not going to have that foundation. And the third thing is that it impacts your identity, which is kind of a mix of the 2 first ones. In the world, there are different countries, right? They all have an identity. I'm sure you've heard in the past how, Canadians are known to be so polite. There's a reason for this. Canada and Canadians have created this rule, in their country where people say thank you, people say please, where people are polite. And therefore the external world sees them as this is their identity. One thing I've realized over the years, I've had a lot of students from Switzerland, and people from Switzerland are so like punctual. They arrive on time. They're very they don't they're such great people. Everyone is great people. I love everyone, right? But what I've noticed from people from Switzerland is that they're so always on time and so always on their thing. That whatever they have to do, I give them a homework for coaching, they're gonna do it the week after. It's always like that. And so for me as a coach, now I don't really do one-on-one coaching anymore. Except some exceptions, but whenever I would have people from Switzerland, it's like I was like, okay, I really have to be there on time. Knowing me, I'm someone who has grown up in an environment where it was okay to be late. But then because I was with someone from Switzerland, I knew they were going to be so on time and it was going to bother them. I raised the bar, for myself. And I say, no, I have to be there on that. I have to hurry up, prepare in advance. Not because I don't want to be on time for other people, but it's because my way of being is always to not be necessarily the most punctual person. But I knew that because this person created this group of people created this identity, it kind of forced me out of what is my comfort zone in a way. So what I mean by this is that countries have their different rules, right? Their different way of being, their different standards also. And so the world perceives them in a way. So how is the world going to perceive you? How are other people going to perceive you? Depends on the standards that you have. What you allow from others, what you don't allow from others. This is very, very important, that you understand this. And I think it's really the basis of having structure in your life, because when there's no structure, there's chaos. When there are no rules, or rules are not respected, or there's no standards, or there's no laws, there's chaos. It's not a coincidence that in the world there was rules and laws that were invented. It's because it's necessary. I traveled a lot in my life, and I love to go to Bolivia. That's where my parents are from. It's a beautiful country, honestly. I love the food. I love the people. I love everything. I miss just now thinking about it. I wish I could go there, right? But one thing I remember the first time that I went, because I wasn't born there. I was born here in Canada. The first time I went, it was such a shock when I was a little girl, because when we went to the capital, actually, no, the capital is Sucre, but the main city kind of, that a lot of people go there for business, blah, blah, it's La Paz. And in La Paz, in the streets, there's a lot of chaos. People don't respect the rules of the road. So, when there's a red light, people don't care. If they want to pass at the red light, they pass at the red light, right? And there's no one really making sure that these rules are respected, right? So there's this chaos in the streets. And I remember when I was little going there for the first time and feeling that anxiety and that chaos of like, oh my God, was that anything? Like I was scared to go from one place to another, because like cars would just go here and there. Everyone was like beeping. It was a lot of chaos. But there's other places in the world where people follow, and respect the codes of the road. Like here, let's say in Canada and United States, also a lot of people respect that. And if they don't, then there's a sanction, then there's a consequence to it, right? So let's now begin. We're going to begin with the 4 categories, okay, of different standards, because it's great to know what a standard is. Like I said, a standard is what you must. It's not a should, it's the must that you have in your life. It's the law that you set for yourself. It's the rule that you set for yourself in your life and that you show to other people or to the world, and then it has to be respected, right? That's what it is. But how can you create some? What are the categories? There are 4. There are 4 categories. The first standards that you want to create in your life is when it comes to relationships. And we're talking all types of relationships, friendships, family relationships, love relationships, co-worker relationships. What are the standards that you're going to create when it comes to this category? What are the standards? So for me, just to give you an example, one of the standards that I have in relationships is loyalty. For me, loyalty is extremely important. And a lot of people say this, right? A lot of people say, oh, for me, someone loyal is that's a should. But then someone, breaks their loyalty towards you and you still keep them in your life. Then you're telling the universe it's okay. You can send me more people that are not going to be loyal to me. You go ahead, send me more people. No, you don't want that. I remember just a few years ago, it was about, 2 years ago, I had a friend of mine very close to me, and something happened. And the loyalty was broken. She broke that loyalty that we both had towards each other. And here's what's interesting about rules, is that when something happens that breaks a rule, a standard that you have, it does not make that person a bad person. Just to give you an example, just the other day, I went to the spa close to my house and I walked there, right? And coming back, I wanted to go to the grocery store, the organic grocery store that I have also next to my place. And I went to cross the street, but I had to do kind of a detour to go at the end of the street, where there's the lights and everything to cross properly. And so I crossed in the middle of the boulevard, right? So I broke a rule. Does that make me a bad person? Don't do that. Of course, I'm not advising it. But I remember I ran, and the worst was that a police car was passing. I was like, oh no, I'm going to get arrested for jaywalking. But anyways, I broke that rule. But does that make me a bad person? No, of course not. So I remember in that situation 2 years ago when that friend did that thing to me, which was a terrible thing, but it broke the loyalty that we had. I remember telling her, I will always love you. You're always going to have a special place in my heart. When I think about that person, I smile. I don't think about how it ended. I think about the beautiful memories we had together. But I told that person, I was like, because she tried to come back in my life, but I was like, it's not going to happen. I will always love you. I will always, whenever you need something, you message me, you call me, I'm going to answer. I'm not going to pretend you're dead. No, but you can no longer be in my life like you were before. You lost that privilege. The day you broke that loyalty towards me, you have lost that privilege and it cannot be gained back, And again, with that person over the past 2 years, we have talked a few times, just exchanged. I remember once her dad had an operation. I sent a gift basket because, of course, I still love you. I still respect you. But you have lost the privilege of being in my life because you broke that rule. It's like someone who drinks and drives. If they get arrested, they're going to lose the privilege of driving. That's just the way that it is, right? So for me, loyalty is something very important. For you, when it comes to relationships, what are the standards that you have? That that if someone, because we live in an interconnected world where we're all connected, that if someone breaks this, they can no longer be in your life. And the worst, as I said before, is when you say something, you say that that's your standard, that's your rule, but then you don't follow through. It's not really your rule. There's a lot of let's say you're on a first date and you tell a man or a woman, whatever, that, I always, like to wait before sleeping with someone, and I wait 3 months. That's just what I do. And then next thing you know, by the end of the night, you're in the person's bed. That person will lose respect for you. Especially if it's a man. Men lose respect for that. A man would rather you tell them, you know what, me, max 2 weeks. I wait max 2 weeks and then we gotta do it. It just has happened. A man will have more respect for someone who says that from the beginning, who actually is real and honest with themselves and with them, than with someone who's like, oh yeah, me, I'm like this, I'm like that, but then does something else. Same thing for if someone, cheats on you. Maybe you tell your partner from the beginning, me, one thing that's very important is loyalty, right? The person cheats on you and you allow them still to stay in your life. They ask you, they say, I'm sorry, and they stay in your life. I promise you, that person will no longer have respect for you. And now we're not going to dive into the topic of, relationships when it comes to love, but a man cannot love a woman he doesn't respect. That's just the way that it is, right? So it's very important in relationships with a man and a woman, or in friendships, or at work, you do what you say, right? You walk the talk. A lot of people say, oh yeah, this is my standard, this is what I do. But then people fall short of that standard and then they allow them to stay. So that means you're lowering your standard, right? You're lowering it every time. And you're giving out this message to the universe. You're saying this to you. For me, I know back to 2 years ago, even if it was hard, because I loved that person, who was in my life, and we had some great moments together, but I respected myself enough to say, no, you have lost the privilege of being in my life. And it's done. You broke that, it's done at this point. So because if I would have kept that person, I wouldn't have felt good about myself. And I promise you, the universe will send you more people who are like that, so that, it continues testing, oh yeah, you said that? Well, look at that. I'm sending you all these people. You're still keeping them, lowering your standard. Very important. What I want you to do as a homework this week, before the last class of the Earth program of the Quantum Alchemist, is I want you to make a list. Make a list of all of the standards and rules that you have when it comes to relationships, right? What are the things that someone has to do to come in your life? What are the things that you have to do to stay in your life? And what are the things that if they do, they are out of your life? Very important. The second category is finances. When it comes to your finances, what are your standards? Everyone has standards when it comes to finances. just an example again, so that you can maybe get inspired and have some ideas. Let me have a little sip of my water. I remember in 2018, I went on tour, right, for my book Beyond Beauty. It was the Full Feminine Power Now tour. And I remember one of the last cities, it was New York in the month of May. And I remember we were sitting, talking. I think we were waiting like for an airplane. And I remember telling my cameraman and my mom, because I always bring my mom when I travel. She loves to travel. It's like her passion in life, and she's retired. And yeah, and I remember telling them, I was like, I kind of regret not doing it, the rock star way. Like, we just went on tour for 6 months. We went across Europe and United States and Canada. Like, I should have done it like the rock star way. We should have been in a bus. We should have went to like little motels, like sketchy motels. Like, that would have been fun. Like, it would have been a different experience, because we were taking planes everywhere. We're going to nice hotels, nice place, nice restaurants and everything in every city. And I remember my mom and David were like, no, it's okay. Like, we did it right. It was fine. We didn't need to go to like motels and everything. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because when I started to look for places for the tour in different cities and different hotels, there was a standard, I was not going to go below that standard. And this is a standard that I was taught growing up. Growing up, we weren't rich at all. We didn't have money. We had regular, to eat and to go to school and everything. And at least like once a year, my mom would take me somewhere. I remember we'd go to New York sometimes. We went to Vegas. We went to Miami. Those were the places where we went, and to Bolivia twice. Besides that, we didn't go anywhere else. But I remember when we would go, my mom would always make sure that we go to a nice hotel. Not, of course, a Ritz-Carlton. I wasn't going to go on tour and go to the Ritz at every city. Absolutely not. I apologize for the sound outside. Windows are open. But yeah, it wasn't that. But it was good hotels, places where when you go there, you feel safe. It's not sketchy. It's a nice, clean place. You got nice towels, and you got someone that comes and cleans, the room, like a Hilton and a Sheraton, just like a regular, good family type of hotel. But we never went to like motels, It wasn't part of my standard. So now that I am a grown woman, I have a certain standard when it comes to that. Right? So this is in terms of finances. I have a standard when it comes to that. I also have a standard when it comes to my bank accounts. How much is the minimum that I should have at all times in my account? Also, I have a standard with the clothes that I wear. There are certain stores that I will not step into, not because I'm a snob or because I'm saying, I want this type of clothes. No, because the quality is not good. Because if in the past, when I was younger, I was a teenager, I tried those clothes on. I've realized, and I bought those clothes. I realized that the quality is not good, that it's not worth it. I'd rather invest in something of quality. You need to have standards in your life. Even when I was 18 years old and I moved out of my mom's house and I went to live in an apartment with a friend of mine, we were two 18-year-old girls making less than like $25,000 a year, right? We had a very nice apartment. And it was a night, like when we went out looking, searching for apartments, we never went to like the round down places and the places that is like dangerous to walk around there at night. Never. We never even considered it. We could have, obviously we didn't have the money. We could have went there, but no, it wasn't even an option. We had a standard. We knew we wanted a nice place. If we left the comfort of a parent's home, we wanted to go to a nice place. And a lot of people don't have these standards, right? Very often, you have to keep in mind that I was 18, I was making less than $25,000 a year. It's not as if I had money or even money saved up. Absolutely not, right? But I still had a certain standard. And when you have a certain standard, when you have a certain rule for your life and you say, I will not go below this, the universe provides for you and the universe gives you what you need. You need to always remember this. When you go under your standard, you're telling the universe, actually, never mind, this is what I deserve. And the universe will continue giving you more of that. Very important to keep that in mind. So the second category, like I said, of standards, of rules, of laws, however you want to call it, that you want to create is when it comes to your finances. The third category is the value that you add to the world. Whether it be if you have a business, whether it be if you, in your community, right? So maybe you do, you give your time to your community, to certain causes, maybe in your work, maybe one standard that you want to have is you want to say, I am the hardest working person in my job, which means that you will stay later than everyone and arrive before everyone. Maybe that is a standard that you have. That's a standard of adding value that you have. Maybe you say every Tuesday night I'm going to go to my church and I'm going to help feeding the homeless, let's say. That's a standard that you have. You need to set what your standards are when it comes to the value that you add to the world. And I say here value, I don't say work, I don't say business, value, because I think when it comes to work, business, whatever we do, we're adding value to the world the same way other people add value and we receive. It's a constant exchange in this universe that we are part of, right? So how do you add value, and what are the standards that you have and that you're setting for yourself in terms of the value you're adding? For me, I have a lot of different standards when it comes to the value that I add in terms of the courses that we create, in terms of Alexandra TV. Just the other day on Alexandra TV, we did a video, and I remember the color of the video was off. It was not the right color, and the problem was that the weekend was starting. I didn't want to be annoying. I'm already very annoying with the details with my editor, my video editor, and I was like, I'm just gonna leave her alone. Poor her, she already worked so hard this week. I posted the video, and a few hours later, I was like, nope, not happening. I deleted it again, and then I sent her a message in the weekend. I said, please, when you come back on Monday, we need to change the color. It's not right. It's not right, because there is a standard, right? And I remember after I posted the video, I was like, oh, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is not the standard that we have. This is not the right, like the filter, the type of coloring, the lighting wasn't right. It just didn't work, right? So that bothered me. Because I have a standard. So I deleted the video, even if it had already a lot of views, it had already a lot of comments. I did not care. Now it has less views than before. It doesn't matter. It's a standard that I have for the quality of the work that I do and that I give to my students, to our viewers, and everything. Standards when it comes to the value that you add to the world. And then finally, the last category of standards is, of course, for your health. For your health, the type of foods that you eat. What is the standard? Do you work out? Are you active? A lot of people, they say I should stop smoking. But they don't do it until something drastic happens, right? Until, they have a health issue, then they stop immediately, because now it's a must. It becomes a must. So you don't wait until it becomes a must. Start doing this list now and start doing them. Now, after you finish doing the list for these 4 categories, I repeat, your relationships, love relationships, work relationships, friends, family, all of it. Finances, second one. Value you're adding in your community and your work and your business, online, whatever, and your health. Create a list of what are the new rules that you're creating in your life. Next to each one of them, you're going to write, is it a should or is it a must? If it's a must, perfect. You're going to do it. If it's a should, then you need to find a big why. And I don't want you to wait for that why to turn into something very drastic and dramatic, like life or death or bad situation. No. Try to find a big why, right? So the best way to do it is if you're saying, okay, I want to work out 3 times a week, ask yourself why. Because I want to lose weight. Why? Because I want to have more energy. Why? Because I want to have more time with my kids to play with them. Why? Because they're growing up so fast, and next thing you know, they'll be adults. Why? Because that's just how it is. So then the finish is there, right? So at least that your last important why was because my kids are growing so fast and I don't want to miss out, on the time. So every time that you're hesitating on doing this standard, on doing this thing that you should be doing, remember that, right? And the second thing that you want to do that will help a lot is to find a partner, find a buddy, find a standard buddy, right? So for me, for the past years, right, since I'm very young, my best friend Andrea is my buddy when it comes to that, right? So whenever we have a new routine, a new ritual that we want to put to place, we're always communicating, like texting each other in the morning to wake up. We're always doing that together, right? Because it helps. It helps to have that support. So you can find that support with someone else, but also so important to know the why. The shoulds turn into musts the moment you have a big enough why, a big enough reason to do it. If not, well, we just procrastinate, right? If not, we just say, well, that's the thing that I should do. It would be nice if I did this, but then of course we don't do it. And that is a big problem. All right. So this is how you're going to create rules in your life, how you're going to create, like I said, laws. It's kind of, and countries, that's what they do. In order to have structure in a country, in the world, in schools, in communities, what do? We create rules, regulations, and laws. Rules, regulations, and laws. and people have to respect them. If they don't respect them, then they're in trouble. It's like, on social media right now, there's different rules and regulations. If you don't respect it, you're banned from social media. So what you have to do in your life is you need to start banning people, situations, things that are not aligned with what you deserve, with what you should have in your life. What is your should? What is your must? That's what you need to. Right, so that's what I wanted to share with you today for this third masterclass of the Quantum Alchemist. As I said, the first one was about routines. Very important if you want to have structure, to have routines. Now it's about rules, and the next one is going to be about rebuilding. So I will be seeing you next week for another live class. Also, don't forget to, if you miss the live class, if you're watching this as a recording afterwards, make sure you tune in for the next live class. All right. So thank you so much for being here today, and I will be seeing you very, very soon. Bye-bye.